Welcome back. We're going to continue with part 2 of our 3-part series on steps to accelerate your online course. We're going to be talking about creating authentic learning experiences, as well as using a variety of assessments and incorporating multiple media options in your course. Step 4 is creating an authentic learning experience, and the reason why you would want to do that is because you have to have a lot of consideration when you're transferring your traditional type of an activity or assignment to an online format. You're going to also want to provide options for the learning preferences of the student.
Absolutely. And part of the experiential learning for the student, to tie it into authentic learning experiences, is making the learning relevant. So for example, if it's a nursing program and you have a nursing student, if they have a project or assignment to develop, it makes sense to allow them to carry out that initiative or project at their workplace, possibly at a hospital or at an agency. By tying the learning experience into the student's life, it makes it a relevant and authentic learning experience for the student.
That's an excellent point, Dr. Kaulbach, because it has to be meaningful. If the activities and assignments aren't meaningful, it's not really relevant to what the course is intended to do. Also giving the students an option of maybe 3 to 5 different formats of how they could submit that user experience or activity and assignment is helpful for the student as well.
I agree. In my courses, what I do, I allow the students to choose. I tell them this is the topic and the material that you have to demonstrate that you've mastered, and they can choose usually from a list of 3 to 5 ways to present it, perhaps in a Prezi, PowerPoint, in a paper,
or a YouTube video, whatever is most comfortable for the student.
I also allow them, if they have an idea of a better way to demonstrate that they learned it and it's not on my list, I just ask them to email me and then I can approve that. But that way if they're excited about the way that they're going to demonstrate the knowledge they've gained, then they're typically more active and engaged in the course.
That's an excellent point. Also, I found it very helpful in my class when I have provided rubrics for these types of authentic learning experiences, because oftentimes when you give students a lot of freedom in what they're going to be doing and how they're going to be reporting that back to you, they're not sure where to really go with that. So providing rubrics gives them a guideline of what you're looking for.
Absolutely. By outlining those expectations and making sure that your rubric is directly aligned with those learning objectives, it makes for a very solid course.
That brings us into step 5, which is using a variety of assessments. So once they have their learning experience done and they're going to be submitting that, you're going to want to provide all different kinds of assessments for students. This basically ensures that students have plenty of opportunity to demonstrate the knowledge that they've obtained in your course so far.
Examples of types of assessments, my favorite is a culminating project. I really feel like using a culminating project also addresses the academic integrity issue that sometimes people come across. So for a culminating project or assessment, you would have a deliverable maybe every week in your module.
Right.
So they would deliver something every week, but it also helps manage the instructor's grading time. So instead of waiting for this huge culminating project to be turned in the last week of the course, and then I have all this grading and my grades are due, instead it helps the student pace themselves with deliverables, and it also helps me as the instructor piecemeal some of my grading and set myself up for success for delivering my grades on time.
That's right. And when you're transferring your traditional type of a course to an online course, you're going to want, this is a great time for you to revisit, are these assessments in alignment with the intended learning objectives for the course too? So this is a great opportunity to go ahead and revisit that.
Some other assessments that you might consider are auto-graded quizzes. If you're just simply checking for understanding, I know there's a lot of dislike of multiple choice questions and quizzes. However, there are strategies to making relevant and rigorous multiple choice questions. And you have to ask yourself, is this a heavy weighted assessment? Or if it's just checking for understanding, allow yourself to have those auto-graded quizzes in your course, and then some of your assessments may be more formal, and you may also have papers and projects as well.
That's an excellent point. With the multiple choice, a lot of the different learning management systems have that feature where they can have randomized types of questions and different test bank pools. What I like to do in my class is I have the answers there, and if it's wrong, I provide feedback of where the student can go back within the online course and revisit that content as a refresher moving forward. I also include different rubrics, and I've used some different technology-based rubrics too. There's a lot of different things out there, such as Rubrics and iRubrics. Have you used those?
I have, and it's great because you just choose a drop-down, you decide how many columns you want, and it makes it simple, so you don't have to start from scratch. And there are also teacher resources online where people share rubrics that they've already developed, and you can just tweak that and make sure it aligns to your learning objectives.
Exactly. That's an excellent point, and I have definitely done some tweaking myself with those. So speaking of technology and how to incorporate that, Step 6 includes multiple options for media and using that to deliver your online content, as well as for students to be interacting, incorporating this online multimedia.
I would say as we work with faculty and help them move their courses online, this is one area where we receive the most resistance. And I think all of us have been in that seat. So
Yes.
At some point, everybody was new to technology, how to incorporate it in their course, and how to make it engaging for the students. Some technology saves time, like the auto-graded quizzes. So you want to look at which technology is a time saver, and then which technology adds engagement elements to your course. So an example would be an introduction video, and we've done a segment on
Yes,
that
we
before.
have.
So just humanizing the course. In my school law course, I don't want to be the one talking every time. So I don't have a micro lecture with my face on it every time. Instead, again, I'm being smart. I'm using resources that are out there.
Right.
TED Talks are a very high quality, high produced videos that already have the transcripts, which is always an ADA concern. So finding those resources and plugging them into your online course humanizes the course, makes it fun for the students. You don't just want a text-based course. That would be pretty boring.
Yes.
And Dr. Farmakis and I both were online students as well. So we bring that perspective. What did we find boring? What did we find engaging? And as instructors, we're on the flip side. So now it's our job and responsibility to engage those students through the use of technology.
That's true. I've also incorporated different YouTube videos, and I know recently YouTube has focused on an education type of a channel where they have lots of different content available for you. I've also explored Prezi. That's pretty neat because you can record, you could do a voiceover, you can embed different videos in there and graphics, and as well as transfer your message of what you're trying to convey to your students. SlideShare also has a lot of different resources as well as Explain Everything, which is a really neat app. I have used Jing for screencasting for myself, where I'm trying to demonstrate a complex assignment and explain to students how to navigate through that. I've also used it for editorials to my students. Instead of typing up a big lengthy feedback to the student, I go ahead and I pull up their assignment, scroll through it, and go ahead and verbalize where I need to redirect them.
And that's a great example of another time-saving tip. Jing is useful for engagement and time-saving. Like Dr. Farmakis said, if you're reading a paper and it's really long, sometimes it's helpful to just have Jing open on the side, start recording your comments, such as, I really like what you did in paragraph 4, maybe you didn't hit the mark in paragraph 7, but just consider using a lot of these tools, and most of them are free at this moment.
That's true. We do like free. Coming up in part 3, we're going to be discussing designing opportunities for online discussions, as well as incorporating a wide range of readings.
And also how to meaningfully incorporate technology and to incorporate feedback for continuous improvement of your course. So we look forward to seeing you in part 3.